3 of the FV8 F1 Championship is at the Motorland circuit. Championship leader Manta has pole, with his nearest rival Trigger second on the grid. On the second row, Christic crucially edged out TC, who's ahead of him on points in the championship, with Shock in P5 and Simon Clements rounding out the grid in 6th. On board with Simon for the start, and we'll see a clean getaway from all, in particular TC and Christic getting the best starts. Problems for Christic as he gets spun in the first corner. Simon's forced to pull out those sharp evasive manoeuvres, which he's employed on a number of occasions so far this season. A replay of the start gives us a better look at what happened to Pete's car in turn 1. You see he makes a great start, as do Shock and TC. Peter moving past Trigger and having a look at the lead, but goes too deep. A bit of contact there as everyone tries to get out of the way of each other, but no real damage done to any of the cars. It was tight racing in the early goings, with everyone on a similar pace and bunched together. An early mistake from Badams under brakes saw him tag the Razorback entry, and he lost out to Simon, who moved up to P5 as Shock ran off. Down the straightaway for the first time, and TC gets a brilliant run on Manta and uses the slipstream to pass him for second place. Manta going from first to third by the end of the first lap, with Drzezinski having taken the lead after the first corner incident. Badams was showing tremendous pace early, and despite his first lap setback, he was applying pressure to the S-Factor racing car, which seemed to be struggling with its cornering balance. The applied pressure paid off as Badams took the position he had lost on the previous lap on the same corner, with Christic also passing the S-Factor car. Christic continued his charge to get back amongst the leaders with a pass on Shock on lap 2 down the straight. While Shock suffered another setback and once again fell behind Simon. By the start of lap 5, the top 4 drivers were separated by only 6.7 seconds, with Trigger leading the way ahead of Razor by 1.2 seconds, who was ahead of third place man Rogers by 3 seconds, and Christic a further 2 seconds behind him in 4th. These figures would soon change after TC hit Trigger under braking for the hairpin and spun the Black Bull driver. TC would take the lead, and the gaps to the drivers behind would close. Christic started to get into a rhythm and was right on the gearbox of the Team Alienware Honda. Clearly quicker on the softer compound tyre, it was only a matter of time before the Monster Energy car would get past and take third place. Manta took a defensive line down the straight, but Christic, with greater grip, simply drove around the outside and made the pass stick. Trigger slowly reeled in race leader TC over the next few laps and seemed determined to reclaim the lead. However, TC showed off some brilliant defensive driving and managed to keep the Black Bull driver in his mirrors. That was of course until the downforcer earned his nickname with the most impressive move out of the turn 10 left-hander. With incredible grip from his higher wing, he managed to glue to the inside of the track and pull alongside TC and claim inside position for the next corner. Now the top 4 drivers were packed together and left to battle it out. passed TC at the hairpin and was lining up Trigger when the race leader ducked into the pits for the first time at the end of lap 9. TC followed him in, leaving Christic in the lead on soft tyres, who would need to pit before the trailing Manta, who in second place was on hard tyres. Finally able to stretch his legs in the clean air, Christic immediately pulled away from the TMA Honda. But he soon made a braking error and crashed into the wall, suffering minor damage and releasing Manta into the lead. Lap 14 and Manta laps Battens in rather spectacular fashion. Battens lifting up a cloud of dust and debris as he tries to find an escape road. Simon too was trying to find alternative methods to help drive faster. Having pitted on lap 10, Christic resumed on the track in 4th place behind Razor. Christic spent 8 laps chasing the Razor back down before being able to pass him on lap 18. Only to give the place straight back on lap 20 when he would need to stop for another set of soft tyres. Trigger would also pass Christic in the pits. Probably the greatest highlight of the race was this battle between TC and Trigger over 2nd and 3rd place. The two drivers were relentless, driving aggressively but fairly and putting on a display of proper professional racing. In a seemingly recurring pattern, Christic once again took 8 laps to close in and pass TC. But this time, instead of pulling into the pits, Christic kept going. Lap 30 and Christic pulls off the overtake of the season to take 2nd place from Trigger. Track, 4 seconds a lap faster than the leader. Lap 31 and Manta, who had a 19.5 second lead, enters the pits for the first time. Christic also entered for a fresh set of boots on lap 31, leaving Trigger to shoot through to the lead once more. Meanwhile, Simon was trying to unlock himself from Razor. Back to the front, and as Manta emerged from the pits, now on soft tyres, his goal was clear in front of him. He could see Trigger in the lead ahead of him, and he had until the end of the race to pass him for the lead, with only 11 laps left. Kim passed Simon in the pits to take back 5th position. But Kim's gremlin corner would soon strike again, and the pair would trade places once more. Christic appeared to have 2nd place secured when he darted into the pits on the last lap. As it turned out, he had used soft tyres for the whole race and needed to pit to ensure he used both tyre compounds. This unfortunately shoved him down to 4th place after having had such a strong performance and fast pace for the most part. He would receive some relief, however, as the Razorback entry lost drive and pulled over and out of the race on the last lap, seemingly out of fuel. A disappointing end to what had been by far Razor's strongest drive and was set to be his best result in F1 to date. However, it was Manta's day and he won by 15 seconds and extended his championship lead. Crucially for the championship, Trigger fought back for a thoroughly deserved second place. He had been head-to-head with TC for most of the race and guaranteed he remained second in the championship with good points in this round. Much to his relief, Christic achieved the last spot on the podium after a difficult race which saw him battling in traffic and trying to make his unorthodox strategy work. Simon was promoted to 4th and received 12 World Championship points, taking his tally to 22. While Kim, who showed great pace at some points, had his race offset by a few mistakes to claim the final points position in 5th, taking his World Championship points to 18. Razor's DNF and 0 points for the weekend would see Christic jump him in the championship table ahead of our next round for Hockenheim, Germany.